Hey, are we on? Wait a minute. Oh, hey. Are we on? Just a quickie here. Listen to Zazoo Plazz. Just doing a little pre-report here. Beautiful day out here in the woods. Actually, I'll do that later. Let's go to Zazoo Plazz report for January. Well, it looks like we're splicing again this week. I'm gonna just roll with it. January 21st, 2024, out in the freezing cold woods. Yeah, so something that's bugging me this week. I'm just gonna put that right there. Something's bugging me. My kid gave me this for Christmas. Maybe I can use this as a little reel or something, because it's really bugging me. Something's really bugging me this week. I'm just gonna put him right there. So I'll freak somebody out, I know, but it has to be said. There's a big bug in my head. Not too Armageddon. Alright, Zazoo Plazz. It's called the Zazoo Plazz Experiment. That's my new name for the Zazoo Plazz report. It's still the report, but it's an experiment. Because that's how I roll around here. Pluto is officially in Aquarius, which means let the quirky roll. The quirky, there's the plane. The sun and Pluto are conjunct right now, right this moment, in Aquarius. In my 4th house, which is like in the past and the roots and everywhere, And there's the plane. The plane! So, the pond is frozen. Some guys out there playing hockey, you can hear. And I might run out of charge. So this might end up being a short one. But it's so beautiful today. I had to just get out here and do this. Oh, it's just so nice to get out of the house. When you're, this environment, it's making it that much harder. I mean, harder every day to stay in a place where it's not your habitat. Let's just suffice to say, things are going to be just falling away. They're not meant for you. Things will be crumbling. Things will be falling. Bugs will be crawling out of the woodwork. So, sometimes it's better to take a risk. In the short term, that things won't be perfect in order to have, in the long run, a life that is going to be just great. You can't even imagine. Yeah. So, when I was a kid, I had this Alfred Hitchcock record, right? And he was telling stories to children. But this is the record I used to listen to for hours. I used to pull all the shades down and make it dark. Scare the crap out of myself. At, 7, 8, I don't know, when it probably came out in the 60s, and it was the 70s by the time I got the record, so he's in this house, right? And there's a dripping faucet, which always just, I could never stand the dripping faucet. It drove me crazy. With each story that he tells, the water is rising, and it's getting higher and higher. And then he has to go stand on a chair, and then he stands on the table. And he's saying this, it's getting close. The water is, I forget how he sounded, but he's like, I will not be able to be here much longer. I am now standing on a chair, and now I'm standing on a table, and the water is rising, and the water is at my eyeballs, and it's at my chin, and then it's at my nose, and then it's at my eyeballs, and And then all of a sudden you hear blub, 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 blub. And it scared the crap out of me. But I kind of had that in the back of my mind my whole adult life. You know, that I'm in this, house and the water is rising and I need to get out, But I keep telling these stories one after the other. And I keep waiting because, maybe it'll get better. Even though the water's rising. And you can tell which way this is going to end. But then I kept listening to it over and over. And I think as a child, maybe it was sort of this masochistic thing. But I think some of us born in the mid-60s to the late 60s, we had this sort of, the macabre was comforting to us. The boomers could not understand that. But if you were born in that sweet spot in the mid-60s, you know what I'm talking about. You soothe yourself to sleep with tragedies. That's what gives you, you can, that's real, right? So this is what I'm getting at. I think I'm here to give hope to those of you who don't find comfort in the rising waters. I learned as a child to comfort myself. My parents were otherwise occupied with the things of this world. I was, in quicksand, sinking in the shag carpet of my bedroom. And, in my innermost environments, I would escape from what I perceived to be a world that was increasingly fake, deceptive, and, not worth my time. So, and here we are. So, I got, I'm beginning to see, okay, there's Jonah, the prophet, the Old Testament, where he's talking about, basically, those old, like movies and things that you'd see where there's this guy, this bum on the street saying, repent, carrying the sign that the time is at hand, repent, the guy in the soapbox, Jesus freaks, Well, that's this guy. He's, he's saying that he's going through, this town, and it's taking him a long time. It's a city. It's a big city, Nineveh or whatever. And he's saying, he's preaching. He's saying, repent, the time is at hand. Mend your evil ways. You see where this is going? Anyway, so then we have, okay, so, I posted a picture today of myself. I found a picture of myself at like 2 years old, late 60s, and I'm wearing this burlap bag of a dress. It's the only thing I can explain. It's like sackcloth, which is what they talk about here. The people put on sackcloth. In other words, they humbled themselves. They took him seriously. And then God decided, okay, I'll spare these people because they're taking this serious, right? So this dress I had was red plaid. It was a hand-me-down from my older cousin. He was 5 years older than me. By the time I got this dress, obviously her mother paid a lot of money for it, my aunt, and, thought that she was doing a good thing, handing it down to her little brother, daughter, me. And even though I had clothes, I didn't, it was like a fancy dress. They were fancy boomer clothes, and I had plenty of nice things, but somehow I ended up with this dress, and I'm not looking happy about it. I'm sitting in the stairway playing with my dolly, and they put this thing on me, and it wasn't me. Just, I'm sure it was a very nice dress, and they paid a lot of money for it, and they didn't want to throw it out, right? They wanted to give it to somebody who's going to use it. So, but I find myself on the receiving end of a lot of my older boomer cousins, discarded. Oh, give it to Leslie. Just, oh, give her your toy. Because whatever I got, I was happy to get. I would be excited to get the toy, whatever. I wasn't a charity case, but I ended up getting things just because the funnel, and I'm sure that some of my stuff, might have gone. Well, actually, probably not. My next youngest cousin was 8 years younger than me, 73. She was born. So I'm sure she probably didn't get any of my hand-me-downs. But she might have gotten some of my, hand-me-down expectations. It's like she got to play the organ or something like Leslie. I don't know. But hopefully she didn't. I know some of my closest cousins were all boys, 2 years either way. They were all boys, except on my mother's side. But, I had this cousin. So I'm sitting there in the stairway, which was my favorite spot, playing with my dolly, sitting in this stupid dress, which, in the 60s, dresses, they had the little white Peter Pan collars and the little, they came up to like your, they barely hit your mid thigh. So, you'd sit down and go, everybody could see her tights and everything. That was the style. So, constantly like tugging on things, especially if it was scratchy. And I also got some of her old hand-me-down, like early 60s kind of like scratchy wool coats and, gloves and hats and things that they just weren't me, I needed natural fibers. Well, I know wool's a natural fiber, but it just didn't look like me, because it was her. It wasn't my stuff. Energy, whatever. Second-hand energy. Even then I could feel it, but I was always grateful. I always had warm clothing. So, there's that. But, then we have the Corinthians. Time is running out. The world in its present form is passing away. Teach me your ways, O Lord. So, it's time, today, it's time to learn new ways, right? The world, Pluto and Capricorn is ending. The old ways, the old structures, the things that worked, the old hierarchies, the things that, tried and true, they belong to the old age, right? We got to put on new clothes. We got to, fresh to us, right? The time of fulfillment. So we get to Mark's Gospel, right? And we find our apostles casting their nets on the internet, casting their nets on the Sea of Galilee, right? Today we cast our nets on the internet to catch, followers or, leads for our business or whatever. You see where I'm going with this? Pluto and Aquarius rules like the global community. It's like us versus, him or her or they, whatever. It's globs of people. I'm running out of battery. Turn on power saving. Do I have to turn on power saving? I'm going to have to turn on power saving. Wait a minute. Alright, we're back. Alright, I'm saving some power here. So, So, then we have the apostles, they were fishermen. Jesus comes walking along, sees these guys, they're casting their nets. He says, come on, just leave there and, James, come. Some of them were brothers, this and that. They're all friends, right? They're hanging out. This is some familiar friends hanging out on social media. He says, you're wasting your time. Come on, so be fishers of men. In other words, men and women. In other words, you have bigger fish to fry. Your skills are needed in a new arena, in a new world, right? In other words, like, give up your 9 to 5. That's not getting you anywhere. That's for the world that's going to be no longer, right? So you got to spend your time, simplify your life. Spend your time out doing the things that are going to last, that are going to take you into the future. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So, I was thinking, so the song of today, I don't even know when this came out, but I think it was in the late 60s, Santana, Evil Ways. This is a wicked song. I always thought, okay, so this is a song I remember hearing around 1995. Let's just say, I heard this song on my wedding day, and I took it as an omen. The house is dark, and I thought it was saying, I think, my Gray, right? He had this song, he had the Santana CD, and he had it on his, he had it looping on the stereo in our newlywed apartment. So we came back after the wedding, right? We were going to get changed and go out to our parties at our parents' house. And he switches on the stereo. And this is the song that comes on when we're walking through the door from our wedding. I've got my white dress on, and all of a sudden I hear, "You better change your evil ways, hey, baby." And I always thought it said, "The house is dark and my butts are cold." Like cigarette butts? No, it was, "My thoughts are cold." Oh, God. So, I've always wondered about that, and now I know why. When your thoughts are cold, it's sad, that's negative, that's cold thoughts are, there's no warmth there. It's just cold. It's, lonely. It's, kind of a desolate place, right? It's like the beach in the winter. Cold thoughts. Anyway, it's like the, water. What happens? It freezes in the winter, right? So, you're skating on thin ice all the time. Anyway, and it says you hang around with Gene and Joan and a fool. I used to think it said a fool knows who. A fool, like a clown. But it was a who knows who. So, I guess he sang this at Woodstock in '69. There goes my phone.